Hello and welcome everybody once again. Thank you for joining Sinch's second Enterprise Innovation live stream. It's been 2 months since the first one and I still haven't hung the art on my walls. Just been too busy pioneering the way the world communicates over here at Sinch, I guess. I hope everyone had a lovely Valentine's Day and Galentine's Day. Shout out to all the gals in tech joining the stream today. I'm Katie Brennan, Marketing Director at Sinch, and today we have two of our top messaging experts back to impart yet more of their fathomless depths of knowledge. Matt Ramerman, Head of Enterprise Innovation at Sinch, and Michael Ahearn, our VP of Customer Development and Strategy. Welcome to the stream, Matt and Michael. How's your day going so far?
Great day so far.
A huge thumbs up here in sunny San Francisco.
Great, good to hear. Thank you both. All right, so let's just do some quick housekeeping before we get to the content. This time we are live streaming to both LinkedIn and YouTube. And so I would be remiss if I didn't mention that if you find the content helpful today, if you watched the last live stream, then make sure you check out Sinch's YouTube channel. We have lots of great videos around RCS, conversational messaging, honestly, anything you could possibly want to know about customer communications in general. The team adds new content all the time and there's lots of great stuff. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. You can also find the recording of our first live stream in this series on YouTube, and I think we're going to throw a QR code up here. Yeah, so you can scan that. Yep, thank you, Matt. And visit the YouTube page that has that recording if you want to learn more. We'll kick today's presentation off with a quick recap of what we covered last time. So if you still have questions, then go ahead and check out that recording. And let's see what other housekeeping topics. Oh yeah, chat and questions. So please drop your questions that come to mind throughout the presentation in the chat, and we will take about 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A at the end, and we will try to address as many of those as possible. And that brings us to today's content. We will be taking a deeper dive into the mechanics of RCS today. We'll share how to get started with the channel. We'll take a look at some of the use cases and really incredible business results RCS is driving for Sinch customers all over the world. And with that, Matt and Michael, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you for the presentation portion of this live stream. What we've all been waiting for. Take it away.
Thank you, Katie, for that fabulous introduction, and a warm welcome to everyone who's joined our live stream today. I am very excited to talk with all of you. As I mentioned in our last live stream, I've been working in customer lifecycle marketing for the last 20 years. And I have never been more excited about a topic impacting our industry as I am about RCS. So as Katie mentioned, 2 agenda items for today. First, I'm just going to do a really quick review on what is RCS and why in the heck the big deal. And then second, I'll pass the proverbial microphone over to Michael, who's going to talk about now what? How can you in your business start testing and learning how RCS may impact your customer experience today? So quick disclaimer, Michael, if you wouldn't mind moving forward to the disclaimer slide. Our opinions and perspectives on this changing landscape of messaging. We're going to be talking about this through a US market perspective. We acknowledge there are different nuances to messaging when you talk about it from a global point of view, or the dynamics in any specific country outside the US. We may make a few references to what's happening outside the United States, but largely the perspective will be focused on the Americas only. Next slide. So just going to talk really briefly on just some quick terminology so we're all grounded from the same perspective as we talk about RCS. So next slide, Michael. First off, what is RCS? So the GSMA, who is the professional association for our industries, are essentially the authors of this thing called RCS. RCS is often referred to as the next evolution of text messaging. It's also been referred to as SMS 2.0. But the vision for RCS is to dramatically improve the overall messaging experience while delivering greater interactivity and the enablement and delivery of a consumption of a wide range of high fidelity rich media. And the goal at the end of the day is to provide great peer-to-peer, so friend-to-friend communication experiences, but also provide enterprise with a way to deliver next generation customer communications that delivers richer conversations with their customers. Next slide. So the belief is that RCS will ultimately replace SMS, but retain the unmatched engagement rates that we've achieved when we send a text. And because of the advanced interactive features and immersive experiences with RCS, the GSMA believes there will be fewer reasons to build a native branded app, helping deliver on an overall better customer experience. So today, the reality is that we do have an active RCS user base today. As we will talk a little bit about today, RCS is the bedrock of Android or Google messaging. And we believe today that a substantial number of that Android audience is RCS enabled. So a big cornerstone of today's conversation is obviously going to talk a little bit about where's Apple in RCS, but really important to note that in the Android marketplace, we do have our active RCS users that are addressable in the US market today. So let's take a quick look at what does RCS look like so we all have the same context. So we're all very familiar with our old friend, the SMS message. Powerful tool, great reach, and beautifully simple. Next slide, please, Michael. But with RCS, the standard messaging inbox gets a tremendous facelift. Would you mind playing the video? In this scenario, this particular retailer is pushing a rich card, which could include a video offer complete with action buttons. This feature-rich messaging experience, in our view, provides an app-like experience directly inside the native messaging inbox. It's much more brand immersive than we get with SMS. So we've got logos, we've got branded colors all inside the thread. And we can also leverage rich media tools like carousels that enables us to merchandise multiple products in the promotion, and also includes action buttons, which encourage two-way interactivity. In this next slide, we just take a closer look at the anatomy of RCS. And it's not hard to see that this was designed with enterprise engagement in mind, bringing this messaging channel up to, in our view, modern digital standards, including things like verified sender to provide greater security and confidence in the people receiving your messages. I mentioned that we have this concept of carousels, which allows us to merchandise multiple products. The carousels can include images or video, and then within each one of these carousel cards, we can also include an action button that drives to a specific call to action. There are also other awesome media features that can be included in RCS, like maps and also calendars. But the one single thing I'm most excited about with RCS is the metrics. One of the unfortunate sides of SMS is that we get delivery receipts, so we know messages are delivered, but unfortunately, there's no protocol for understanding view or open rates. With RCS, we will have the ability to track views and open rates. That brings us now, in our view, sort of up to expectations equivalent with other digital channels. So next slide, Michael. So the big question has been with RCS, as we talked about last time, Android and the Google environment embraced RCS early on as part of the protocol for their messaging environment. But the big question's been Apple. Apple has stayed steadfast supporting their iMessage product. Next slide. But this last November, much to the surprise of the entire industry, an Apple spokesman verified that Apple will be adding support for RCS, the universal profile, to their native messaging app. The disclaimer here is that Apple did talk about this only in context of a peer-to-peer experience. So this is friend to friend. And there was not any commentary on whether or not they were going to be supporting RBM or business messaging. And there still has not been any official updates directly from Apple on this particular subject. It's our belief, we're betting that that will become a reality, in which case we are strongly advising our customers to begin to test and learn about RCS in the audiences that are addressable, then falling back to SMS, MMS for the customers that you have opted in that are on Apple devices, all in anticipation and a bit of a bet that business messaging will come to Apple and then therefore unite the messaging universe. Who knows, sometime in the very near future. So that's your quick catch up to give you full context in RCS. I'm going to pass the microphone over to Michael, who's going to talk about, okay, so if you are interested in making a fast start and start to learn about what RCS can do with your audiences, what are some ways you can do that quickly and easily? Off to you, Michael.
Thanks, Matt. So given the amazing capabilities of RCS and in presenting the why and the what of this new sort of paradigm of how you actually communicate with other human beings in a commercial fashion, the next question is how? How do you actually plan for this? How do you execute? What are the moving pieces as a business to actually deploy RCS messaging? So I like to take the tried and true paradigm of crawl, walk, and run towards any new endeavor as a business, and this certainly applies to RCS. So in this idea of thinking of how do I do this and how would I be able to do this in a rational way to start with something that's manageable and then really start to leverage all of the capabilities, I like to think of it in two buckets. And those two buckets are the way that you message, and this is actually true for all of mobile messaging or true in the past, is that as a tool, you can either send a message using an API, which would be a great tool for triggered messaging or messaging that is sent via an event or a data point. And the other bucket would be what I would categorize as composed message, where you're actually composing an experience and it's something that you might be broadcasting to a list or a segmented group of customers. So let's take a look at these two sort of models and how these work. So the first one is RCS via API. And this is really in defining this kind of idea of RCS as API. It's used when messaging is automated and not composed. This is really a programmatic deployment of RCS messaging. And by that, we mean that the message is triggered by another event or data point. For example, a bank alert that might be delivered as an RCS, or a healthcare alert, or maybe a logistics alert, a shipping alert, an order confirmation alert. These are things that are being triggered by existing business systems. Now, it could be marketing, but in doing so, this would be a templated marketing response where, again, that event or a CRM event would be triggering that RCS message. So an example of that might be for, let's say, a reward point distribution or an offer or promo that is issued as part of an existing business logic. What it normally is not is part of a list-based communication type of activity per se, or outbound marketing to segments. This is more of a individual response, one-to-one, according to that event or business logic. And within this idea of an API-based RCS activity, there's even further bifurcation of a way to look at this. And the first one would be within an API is doing basic RCS. And this is really the true way to think about it is as one-way RCS using an API, and it's a way to upscale an existing SMS to a basic RCS message. So what does that mean? What we call this is SMS redirect. And what this is an automated translation of your existing SMS program or your SMS capabilities to an RCS message. Okay, so what we really are enabling here is the triggering of an RCS message in place of your SMS from your existing SMS program. Now that upscale contains the text of the SMS, any links, and adds branded graphics, sender authentication, and a contact page as that RCS message. And we'll see that in just a moment. Now, when we do this, of course, very sophisticated check logic is done on our part, where we check the capability of every phone that is receiving that RCS for every contact and every customer that receives a message to make sure that the phone is enabled for an RCS message. If the phone is not enabled for an RCS message, then it receives the SMS as per usual. Now, one other thing that can happen as we do this, and you can see this in the diagram, for example, a fraud alert by a bank goes out. It goes through our conversation API for connectivity. It attempts a capability check. The phone is enabled for RCS, and it sends the RCS. Now, if we do the compatibility check, and it is failed, or for example, the phone is not connected to the internet for RCS transmission of the message, then our conversation API understands that and it sends the SMS as per usual. Now, what we can set up here is something even beyond just this compatibility check for RCS to SMS. Our systems are able to create a business logic that is a multi-channel priority order, where we can set up a cascade or waterfall, if you will, of different channels where the logic could say, hey, first check for RCS. If the phone is RCS enabled, send an RCS. If it's not RCS enabled, then check and see if it is WhatsApp enabled. If it is WhatsApp enabled, then send WhatsApp. If it's not WhatsApp enabled, then send an RCS. So given that Sinch is enabled across virtually every messaging channel and flavor of SMS, MMS, RCS, and all of the messaging apps, you can set up a very powerful logic of channel prioritization to get the best experience depending on the phone capabilities of that individual customer. So what does this look like? And what does this first step in RCS look like in this easy redirect of one-way SMS to RCS? You can see on the phone to the left, the standard SMS message that has been going out for this set amount. It says review now and deposit money if needed on that message. The phone is checked. If it is RCS enabled, instead of getting that SMS with the link, you can see to the phone next to it is the RCS message that is translated from the SMS to the RCS, and you can see the stark distinction of an RCS message versus an SMS. One, you can see that the message is branded and authenticated by the brand that is sending it. The message is identified at the top of the message, not by the short code, which is somewhat anonymous to the customer, but it actually says the brand name. You also see next to the brand name a shield with a check mark. That is the verified sender logo that gives the customer the confidence of knowing that that message actually is coming from BrickBank. You get the logo at the top of the message for brand visibility and sort of brand coherence, if you will. You get a little bit of marketing text copy there under that, and then you get the message with, again, the message itself is branded with the logo next to the message itself. Now, the message has one more great feature as a basic translation from SMS to RCS, is that when an end user clicks on the logo, in that RCS message, it delivers a contact page. And so in clicking that logo, you can see the big advantage here of providing essential information of a phone number that they can click to call to. They can visit a URL online presence, or they can initiate an email to customer service from that RCS message. This is all native and templated to a redirect from SMS to RCS. So if we look at these benefits of going from SMS to RCS as a very easy first step in deploying, you can see the message is branded. There's the security of the verified sender, the contact page. This is sent usually at the same cost. In some cases, depending on the territory or the country that this is deployed in, the cost can actually be less. There are better metrics that Matt indicated, and that you actually get read metrics of who actually opened and read the message. There is virtually no tech change in being able to do this. It takes your existing SMS program and just basically makes it better. And for any phone that's not enabled, it is default to a seamless and completely assured SMS fallback of the message per usual. And again, the reporting and analytics, the comparison between an SMS and RCS, you see lots of yeses in that right-hand column for RCS for ID registration, visibility of the brand, verification of the brand, the send receipts, and the read receipts. Now, if we were to look at some operational use cases that are out in market today, here's some very, I would call sort of no-brainer applications of this SMS redirect. One would be parcel delivery and logistics. So for one of our customers, they had a challenge of the actual regional SMS open rates. And in deploying SMS redirect, they were able to achieve 99% guaranteed delivery of the message. They actually had much lower rates for that particular territory in SMS. They were seeing 70% confirmed open with those new metrics and confirmation of read receipts, and at no additional cost for that customer. For another one of our customers for appointment scheduling, their challenge was that it was only on a short code. And again, 99% guaranteed delivery. They had half of the message for appointments were confirmed opened, which is much, much higher than the SMS performance they were getting. And they benefited from all of the enhanced corporate branding of the RCS message. And for delivery notifications, again, another one of our customers, their challenge was customer trust, in that they saw it as a great advantage to have the verified and authenticated sender as part of the message makeup. And again, their guaranteed delivery rates were near 100%, 74% confirmed open on their delivery notifications. And there was the reassurance from the customer's perspective that that delivery notification wasn't spam, it wasn't spoof, and it wasn't something nefarious. It actually was the delivery notification from the brand that they were receiving the message from. Now, if we were to look at the second flavor here within the API of RCS, this is what I would categorize as full RCS. And so the characteristics of this API using full RCS universal profile capabilities, the first big differentiator is that it is two-way, in that we can take advantage of the conversational two-way messaging of RCS using this. Second, it's the full RCS universal profile. So that demo that Matt showed you of the apparel brand with all of the carousels and the buttons and all of the really amazing features of full universal profile RCS, we would be deploying that in this case. We can still use a multi-channel prioritization logic in setting up multiple channels in delivering via API. And we also have the abilities using an API of a basic batch and schedule for a delivery of batch RCS. And so an example of this would be a bank that was delivering a, hey, did you actually make this purchase message to a phone? So on the left, we can see a standard SMS being delivered with that message, alerting the customer and asking if they made a purchase. And on the right, we can see the experience as an RCS using the full universal profile as an API. And so that message comes into their standard SMS inbox, and boy, does it look different. It's graphic, it's easy to understand, more information, easy buttons to click on for next action. They confirm their purchase. We can go to another action in this two-way of here's your last 5 purchases, so they can verify that information, and if necessary, they can choose to contact the bank and discuss the matter. So you can see what a paradigm shift this message is from a alphanumeric only, read only experience to something that's interactive, and I would say is starting to get web and app-like in a message itself. And again, this concept of multi-channel configuration with a prioritization logic using an API, we can automatically send the best experience on the best channel for each customer. So we have the SMS redirect where we are looking at a priority channel. It searches for RCS. If the customer is enabled for RCS, great. But we can also set up a logic so that if the phone isn't set up for RCS, it checks for WhatsApp. Nope, that phone's not enabled for WhatsApp either. All right, my next logic is, okay, send them an MMS. Is that phone enabled for MMS? Yes, it is. So I will send an MMS and not default to the SMS. So it is this prioritization of best experience for every customer based on the capabilities of their own handset. Now, the second large model we have is the idea of RCS via platform, where we're not using an API, but we're talking about an actual full-fledged, full-blooded platform for RCS that is optimized to do the marketing activities that a standard outbound marketing organization would do at a brand. And so as a platform, now what we're really talking about is something different than an API. We're talking about a platform that is enabled for two-way messaging. It's enabled for outbound list scheduling and segmentation. It also brings in the capabilities of campaign management and analytics that go along with measuring a campaign as a marketing exercise. It would also have a GUI interface for the marketer to actually author messages and do the scheduling, very much the way that you would be using your SMS campaign tools. And it also would offer the full RCS universal profile of all the capabilities and functionalities of an RCS message. And so what that might look like is something like this. You saw it with the apparel example that Matt showed you earlier. Here's an example of a soccer club that is trying to get customers to purchase a subscription content service from the soccer club or football club if you happen to be not in the United States. So this is the Club Paris Saint-Germain, who is launching subscription services in the United States. And they send out a message that says, "Hi, I'm Jermaine, the PSG mascot. Who's your favorite player?" In the carousel, we can see players. For the team, interacting with the customer, we can see that there are clickable content here in these images. These could also be videos. This customer says, Edison Cavani. And the customer says, "Cool." And the bot says, "I agree. Did you watch the game last night against Angers?" And the customer says, "No." "Great. Here's the highlights of the game." And boy, the stadium was on fire. You can see this is a very human voice in this conversation. It delivers the content to the customer. They can see the highlights of the goals, immersing themselves in the brand experience. It's also introducing them to the product of the subscription service in a rich media experience. It's interacting with the customer. What do you think of the match? 3 flames. Here's the sell. Did you know that there's a premium service where you can get this type of content? Sign up here, and we are executing the actual subscription inside the message, completing the objective of the brand within the message in an immersive, interactive, two-way conversational manner. And our statistics from this campaign were in this, 80% of the people who received this message launched the video, and 50% of the people clicked on the subscription offer. So we can see the obvious benefits of this immersive, rich media in-message experience. And RCS is a doorway to this AI conversational two-way paradigm that is where messaging is today. And we are moving away from this concept of talking at customers or talking at human beings and to what the channel was truly built for, mobile messaging, which is two-way conversation. So in this example here, very much like the football team example I just showed you, this is a customer who's chatting where a bank is introducing the customer to different types of credit cards. The customer can choose their interests, the types of cards, or their life situation where an appropriate product is made available to them. It provides information about that product and that card. And then it allows the customer to actually initiate the application process to actually get the card product within the message itself. And again, as an RCS, this happens in the SMS inbox. So what are the steps to get started now? We've seen sort of the working parts of the business models and the technical models and the choices you can make based on your business activities, your business need. What are the actual mechanics to an RCS campaign to get started? Well, the first thing is that here at Sinch, we can help you with everything. Working with us, it's easy. So the first thing you do, if you're wondering what's the checklist to do RCS, the first thing is you start with an RCS enrollment for your program. And here at Sinch, it's as easy as a 2-page application form that we help you with to get you started. This is an enrollment in North America. For example, we would be working with the carriers who are supporting the RCS channel, all the major carriers, to actually get your application in, to get the specifications of your messaging RCS campaign or program and get that up. The next thing you do is you register a sender ID for RCS. And this is where the wonderful capability of being able to identify yourself as a brand in your messaging. And so this idea of a sender ID is completely different than a short code, which is an anonymous random set of numbers. It is making yourself visible as a brand, as a message when you send the message to the customer. We also, in this process of the application, we set up the verified sender authentication so that we set to the carriers who will be sending these messages, you are who you are, so that the customer can indeed trust that that message is coming from the bank or from the healthcare provider or from the brand or whoever the sender is. Now, this has a lot of value to customers. I was noticing in doing work in the field that in Reddit streams, when customers saw this idea of the verified sender in RCS, here are some customer responses in the chat when they saw this. They saw this sign and they said, oh, I saw this happen to my message when I made a purchase and had to confirm it with me. It's nice to know. I'm glad that they're doing this. And the other customer put in the input and said, I got a chase fraud alert just like this, and it was a verified SMS. Really awesome. So the customer reaction to this is overwhelmingly positive. Once you have this set up, your just next checklist is to decide whether you're going to be using an API or a platform. And again, you now understand the sort of the uses and the advantages of the different models of whether you're going to be sending triggered messaging and operational transactional messaging via an API that you'd be using for an RCS message, or you may need or be using a platform for RCS that can do the campaign management, the GUI authoring, and having the metrics and the analytics available to it, similar to any MarTech function you would have in a MarTech platform. Number 4 is interesting, is that you'll need to think about the integration of your RCS program, the API or the platform with your existing tech stack, okay? Now, for a simple API RCS integration like an SMS redirect, there's virtually no integration as it is translating your existing SMS program into an RCS. So again, that's why we call it the easy first step, is indeed exactly that. An easy first step to do RCS with little or no integration to worry about. In fact, some of the APIs in working with Sinch are pre-configured with leading MarTech platforms. So coming to us and saying, yeah, I'd love to do this redirect and translate my SMS to RCS, and I'm on platform X for my MarTech, we have pre-configured integrations with those large platforms already, so they are ready to go and make this exceptionally easy Our conversation API, again, is the multi-channel API that has all of the channels if you wanted to construct a logic of multiple channels. But regardless, these APIs are the easiest deployment of RCS and can integrate the full campaign platforms as a step later. If you decide I want to start to author for marketing and segmentation and marketing, we can do that as well. In any case, we're here to help with any system integrations in all of our use cases. And the fifth thing to do is check out the metrics. You will want to, before you pick up a pencil or a hammer or a nail, is to establish the metrics that you want to be able to gain visibility into as you do your RCS campaign and you start to set up trend analytics and visibility into program success. And it's really the question as that last sort of step is to ask, what kind of metrics do I absolutely need? Now, API-based platforms give out of the box basic delivery metrics, the send receipts, the read receipts, and certain marketing metrics. But with RCS, you definitely want to include or think about the things that you don't want to get with SMS, those send receipts and the read receipts, but also thinking about perhaps more sophisticated performance metrics, especially, again, when doing marketing or e-com, that are more the purview of messaging platforms. Great, so that's the how. So let's take a look at some examples of what this is actually producing in the market today in real world. Our first case study is an insurance brand using RCS to help customers in terms of change of life interactions, of making sure they have the right products or updating the products based on the customer profile or the change in customer profile. So you see in this particular message, it offers up the possibilities of the change in life profile. Someone responds, yes, something did change. I got married. And then we interact in a conversational interaction about, great, this will probably require a discussion review of what you have. And we're happy to talk to you about what this means and how we can help you. In doing this and using this channel, the brand saw an increase of 18% of inactive contacts that re-engaged. They got 3 times the click rate versus their email messaging, and they doubled the click rate over their standard SMS, doing the same business activity. For a retailer named Cdiscount, they did messaging where they were doing promotional seasonal messaging in the RCS channel, and their results were increases of 4% in revenue and 9% increase in basket size, which are all key metrics of any increase in any of these metrics are all welcome, and it's sort of a no-brainer for a e-com or retail brand. Another retail brand that was doing RCS as a interaction with customers around the holiday season, which is part of the holiday season, is the planning for your holiday meals and the special dinners that you would be preparing for the holidays. This brand specialized in foods and a product selection of things that you would use in the preparation of holiday meals. So they reached out to customers and say, hey, are you looking for inspiration for your holiday feast? And they did a menu creation interaction with customers where they helped customers create menus, help them recommend products that could compose and create a special meal and dinner ideas for those holiday events. And again, interactive, rich media in a messaging channel, and the results are really speak for themselves. They got 25% of their annual holiday sales revenue during their holiday period for this, 42% customer engagement over SMS. They got 3 times higher click-through rate over their SMS in doing this, and a 10% increase in cart conversion. And again, better experience yields better results. Again, another example of this, of holiday gift giving, different types of options of shopping, exploring different video games in this particular instance within the RCS app and web-like experience, the deals and the offers that can be integrated into this experience, their read rate was 86%, and they got, again, 120% increase in the click-through rate in this over a standard SMS. For financial services, not only do you get these sort of marketing type metrics increases, but RCS can be a massive solution to reducing customer support costs. So one of our financial services brands went to RCS for customer support, and they saw a 40% reduction in customer support using RCS. And in fact, the use of AI in this is instrumental in providing the fastest, most convenient, and getting the customers to the information immediately. And what it has avoided is customers waiting on the phone for 15 minutes to talk to somebody, and the cost in dollars instead of cents of actually solving the customer request or inquiry. And again, more case studies. There's a famous one for Subway in RCS, who pioneered some of the RCS campaign types and interactions in North America. Simple RCS, 10 times the ROI, 60% higher click-through rate, and 146% higher intent to purchase on very simple offer and product awareness. And then one of our customers for healthcare for prescription, they sent, and again, just simply translated a plain SMS and added the interactive buttons. Just by adding the interactive buttons, they saw a 12 to 18% monthly uplift in performance of the prescription conversion, and a 45% achievable conversion rate of people actually fulfilling their prescriptions. And the question is, wow, that's amazing. All we did was add buttons. What if we added this? And so this is the next step for that type of customer engagement in a healthcare paradigm. So to finish off, the recommended strategy, if we were to put this into a nutshell, or to use the new verb nutshell, the idea is, first thing, recommended strategy is adopt messaging as the center of your CX. If you're not doing messaging today, you need to make messaging as a critical spoke in your customer interaction wheel off of your CRM and everything that you know about your customers. The possibility of it being a messaging experience is there and needs to be explored. Second, specific to RCS, don't wait. You can deploy something like SMS redirect and making your SMSs into RCSs automatically for your key touch points today. You also want to plan for the imminent Apple support of rich business messaging. We don't have actual confirmation. Anticipation is it's going to be this year. And in doing so, and in deploying the SMS redirect, doing the simple RCS conversion for some of your operational messaging and triggered messaging, it is an amazing opportunity to test and learn the channel. And this is a muscle you want to begin exercising now, because when that Apple switch is flicked, everything will change. So with that, I will pass it back to the team. Thank you very much for your time.
Great job, Michael. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you both. Let's move to Q&A. Thank you so much, Matt and Michael. It was a great presentation as always. It's really cool to see the real RCS use cases and results from Sinch customers. I mean, that 4% increase in revenue from Cdiscount might at first glance sound like a small number, but if you really think about that at scale for a large enterprise brand, that could be huge. And also the other one that stood out to me was that 40% cost reduction for customer support. I mean, beyond the customer experience benefits, it's really amazing to see the direct monetary value that's being attached to this channel. So that was really cool to see.
And just have a point on that, actually, Katie, that's an interesting point, is AI is on everybody's lips right now, right? So this is, you cannot throw a rock without hitting somebody who's talking about AI.
That's true.
The key is AI is not an end of itself. AI is not omniscient yet. We may get there, who knows? But it really is about AI plus human beings, right? And so there's still a massive value to having human beings that still help your customers. And so it really is to use a fancy word, it's a nexus between what the machines can do and what your people can do, and having the right tool for the right job. So AI is a great way to start somebody for simple stuff. There's no reason someone should wait on the phone for 15 minutes to know the hours that your store is open. Okay. That's silly. An AI bot can very quickly give some of that information. The person gets it and they go, wow, that was a great experience. I now know, and I didn't have to, there was no fuss, no muss, right? However, there's higher order things where actually that human touch is important. So that's where integrating an AI solution with your contact center solution is really important. And it becomes a very organic, holistic, and I call it best of both worlds, right? Is that you've got the right tool and the right experience for the customer.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, we do that here at Sinch. Just
yes, we do, and we also run a lot of research reports at Sinch, and we just started taking a look at the results from the latest ones, and it showed customer preferences for how they want to communicate with brands. It was really interesting to see that a lot of customers don't want to use a web chat. They would prefer to have a two-way conversation via mobile messaging if they're going to chat to a bot and try and get a solution resolved. And then how great is that? They can just kind of seamlessly move from mobile messaging to a phone call all in the same flow. So yeah, really important to customer experience there. Okay, let's see. We've got a few questions, and I'm going to highlight one at a time and let you guys take on the answer. This is a long one. Thank you, Jack B. Yeah, for sending this in. Jack says, great information. There's certainly a recognition that RCS is far more dynamic and engaging than SMS. We were talking about RCS in 2015 at AT&T, and it's almost 10 years later. Is the lack of USA implementation because the carriers haven't solidified how to monetize RCS with OTT providers, and also clear RCS intercarrier exchanges from a cost perspective? Great question.
I can take that. From our view, Jack, the carriers are well implemented with RCS in the Google environment. And so that is a vibrant and active channel today. Really, the issue is to bring Apple into the fold for RBM messaging and therefore open up ubiquitous reach. I mean, all of us want the same thing. SMS delivers darn near perfect reach across, everybody in the country. We want RCS to be able to do the same thing. In order to achieve that, we need Apple. So Android's in, and the question we're all anticipating is, Apple, are you going to open up RBM for application to peer messaging, the space we all care about?
Yeah, and I would add that Apple is extremely incentivized to make this so. Okay. And if anyone wants to explore this and give us a call or give me a call, I can happy to explore it. I don't want to get over my skis here, but there's information that we cannot talk about publicly, obviously, but there is a lot. And if you did do a little studying on answering the question, why is Apple even doing this? Because last September, Mr. Cook was not really a big proponent of RCS. And then all of a sudden he broke our necks out of nowhere with, oh yeah, we're going to support RCS, right? So there is something that is truly compelling Apple to do this. And we'd be happy to talk about that offline with you. If you wanted to give us a call to get a little more visibility into how fast is fast, we'd be more than happy to talk to someone about that as you strategize.
Very mysterious answer there, Michael.
Let's put it this way: I'm all in. I've got all of my chips in Vegas on this being something. It's going to keep me super busy. Let's put it this way.
Great. Okay. Thank you both, and thanks, Jack, for the question. We've got another great question here, another long one from Bobby A. Thank you, Bobby. All right, just looking to reiterate as a few key points on my end. One, RCS for Apple devices will only be supported via peer-to-peer as of now, correct? Let's go one at a time.
That's the only information Apple's officially provide us is that specific statement. There's a lot of speculation that there's more to it than just peer-to-peer, but officially that's the word.
Okay. Two, there is no estimated time frame on when Apple will support RCS. Correct.
Same thing.
Yes.
That's also correct. There's lots of speculation again what that might mean, but that is the letter of the law at the moment.
I mean, maybe you should give Michael a call and he can
speculate further
answer with more detail
sure.
about
all I hear is the sound of elves in the North Pole banging on wooden pegs right now. Is all I'm saying. Is that that's all I can say.
Okay. Three, Sinch can upscale a basic SMS to check if said device supports RCS. If not, check for MMS. If not, then send a basic SMS. Is that correct?
Yes, you got it. Absolutely.
Bobby, you've been paying attention. All right. And four, for the majority of the RCS content in the message, are the interactive components pre-programmed or is it automatically generated based on sending number, brand, and registration info?
So let me answer this two different ways. So in our SMS redirect, the concept is simplicity. So the enterprise would pass to us the same 160 character SMS that they would normally send out. We identify if the handset that's associated with the MSIDN, that's associated with the text message, if it's RCS enabled. If it is, then we would drop that text message into a pre-configured template and then push that out to the end user. So the idea is super simple way to engage with customers. There's obviously a lot more logic and capabilities if we move from strictly the API and we move upstream into an actual authoring environment. Where a lot more conditions can be placed on what the content looks like when it's sent out. But the basic product, the quick start product that we're talking about today would be a pre-configured template that we would then redirect that SMS into, assuming the phone's RCS enabled.
Yeah, and if I might put my salesperson hat on just for 30 seconds, if you've not heard of Sinch's Conversation API, this is our whole approach and our philosophy towards messaging is that our Conversation API, of which the RCS capabilities and connectivity is a part, not only is this translation from SMS to RCS happening, that is basically within our Conversation API, that is the proof of what our Conversation API actually does, is that conversation of one channel to another. So not only this is just an application, one single application of what our full Conversation API connectivity solution does is that it also translates WhatsApp into RCS or RCS into Viber or MMS into Kakao Talk. Okay, so this concept of a universal customer experience in format is that our product actually takes the possibilities of what is the content and it rationalizes and optimizes that content of what your message has in it to the ideal format for the channel that message is going to be sent out on. So give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it.
I don't think you ever take your sales hat off, Michael. I think it's a permanent fixture. Okay, let's see. We've got a short question, but a big answer to this question. So maybe a brief response, and then we can point Julian to some additional resources here. So Julian R asks, hello, how do you get started with RCS, especially from CRM via API?
I think it's super simple. You just would point that CRM authoring environment directly at our redirect API, and we'll take it from there. So we'll work with you to get the template set up, and then we can help you configure the API depending on what you want your fallback to look like for non-RCS supported devices. But it's just as simple as pointing that CRM directly at that send API, and we can get started today.
All right, great. Thank you for the question, Julian. We've got another here from Brent C. How does the redirect work with the restrictions on P2P texting that the carriers have been implementing recently, specifically around campaigns, approved texts, etc.?
This, I believe this is, we're submitting a campaign brief to the carriers in order to get the campaign registered and approved for sending. And so once that's approved by the carriers, there's no expectation there'd be any further restrictions. So don't see that as an issue.
Yeah, and this reminds me of a question that one of our customers asked recently, which is the approvals process for RCS campaigns, is that the same as SMS? And does will Sinch take care of that for the customer?
Yep.
Yeah, so exactly the same as SMS?
You just bring us your SMS program, and magically fairy dust happens and it becomes RCS. It's that easy.
Okay, all right. I guess it's exactly the same in that you don't need to worry about it because Sinch will
don't have to worry about anything. Just tell us you want your SMSs to be RCS and make it so that if a phone is enabled for RCS, it is an RCS, and it will be so.
Okay. I did have another pre-submitted question, and we've got just one more minute to go ahead and highlight it. This is asking about what's the next best alternative if we can't use RCS for business messaging today.
Great question. Matt, you want to take that one?
Yeah, there's no doubt the answer to this. We firmly believe that messaging, particularly SMS, MMS, should be the center of customer experience today. It's the primary ubiquitous channel to connect with everyone, and still delivers a lot of really powerful features. Still can deliver rich media, it still can be interactive in two-way. RCS just becomes the next iteration of that. So if RCS seems like too big of a leap and you haven't started working in SMS, MMS, we'd strongly urge you to start into the messaging world today and know that we've got a place to scale you over time.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, though. If you're talking about this concept of waterfalling channels in North America, RCS to MMS to SMS is like an amazing... That's an amazing color palette where, okay, if I can't get the really amazing stuff and the phone doesn't have it, well, make sure they get a video with text, right?
That's right.
And if they can't get video and text, then send them a text with a link to the video, right? And that's the strategy, is make the message awesome as much as you can.
All right. Well, we actually do have another question that just came in from Jack again. Thank you for being so engaged, Jack. I know we're at the top of the hour, but maybe we can address this really quickly and then move on to our next set of meetings. So Jack asks, so the campaign briefs go through the campaign registry or via shortcode style? I
believe it goes through the campaign registry. Very similar to how you would register campaign brief today. It's my understanding.
Correct. That's my understanding as well. We have a whole team that do that. Just by the way, here at Sinch, we have a whole actual carrier application team here that take care of their only job is actual carrier relations, to which we have direct connects here in the United States, by the way. But yeah, that's their whole job, is making that go smoothly.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. If there's any more questions, you can send an email on LinkedIn to these two experts. You can scan this QR code up in the top corner and submit a contact us form if you'd like as well, and we will connect you with the right person to talk to. But for now, that's all the time we have for questions, and that's all the time we have for our live stream. I believe we are going to cue some playoff music now, so we can all know that we need to get off the stage. There it is. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Everybody.
Guys,
Yeah.
later. Bye.
Look forward to doing this again. And yeah, everyone have a great rest of your day.